I love a game that has a good crafting system. While I was recovering from my brain injury, my wife would move my character in Skyrim from town to town to help me unlock fast travel so I could spend my time in the world of Skyrim slowly but surely, providing the Nords with some high quality steel. When I made my full recovery about 18 months later, I finally was able to venture out of the safety of the walls of Whiterun, putting my products to use. So it should be no surprise that I would snap up Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator for the Switch, especially with its attractive price point. What's it like? Make sure you have some coal, grab a hunk of copper, and fire up the forge as we review Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator for Nintendo Switch. Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator sees you put on the leather apron of a blacksmith to provide the citizens, including a shocking number of nuns, with the finest weapons of warfare. You purchase materials from an item board, refine them into handles and hafts or forge blades, and then assemble them all for the customer. Each customer has a request that presents itself on another wooden board next to the window, and when you craft the correct item, you simply drop it out the window and wait for your next order to come. All of this sounds like a really interesting concept on paper, except it's just not executed well. For starters, aside from a few pages of text when you load in, there's no direction or indication of what you need outside of making orders. I failed my first few times, which boiled down to user error, but when I finally got the hang of things, I realized you would only serve 1 or 2 customers a day, usually at the same time, leaving you to either go to bed at 9:30 in the morning to bring on the next day, or use your spare time, and there's a lot of it, to prep more daggers for the next few customers for the week. Construction of items consists of either a QuickTime event or a button mashing QuickTime event that affects the quality, which you have no way of indicating on the item. The QuickTime events aren't challenging, they're just simply difficult due to the design, with some of the button prompts giving you no time to react, making for a frustrating experience. I think the game would have been far more enjoyable if it focused on serving as many people as you could before your day was through. But alas, the developer seems to be opting for it to be a blacksmith survival game, only without the elements of survival, simply just failing if you miss a customer due to their lack of patience. There are 2 skill trees, one permanent, one temporary, that unlock new weapons and designs when they work, but apart from that, I didn't really feel like there was anything to work toward. Graphically, Fantasy Blacksmith Simulator has a low poly feel, somewhat akin to For the King, but it lacks the style and charm that made For the King so endearing. The UI is just a series of boards littered around your house that you can sometimes select, and they feature a bright, bold text that fails to build any immersion in the game. It's not that the graphics are bad when compared to the art direction they were going for, it's just there's no personality. Which it's a shame because there's a lot of potential to be had. The overwhelming amount of bugs make me wonder if Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator is set during a plague, as some options aren't selectable, sometimes you craft extra parts, and there are other times when pressing A, which is pressed a lot, while making items randomly purchases other items from your blackboard, leaving you with an excess of materials. Grabbing items sometimes doesn't work, and the game's reliance on you stacking multiple items to be able to craft is frustrating at best. More often than not, Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator will leave you pointlessly waiting, wondering if there's another customer that will arrive so you don't lose the game by trying to sleep the day off. I wanted to love Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator, but getting to an acceptable amount of playtime to write this review was an absolute chore due to the repetitive gameplay and the inundation of bugs. Some players may find fun with it for a few hours with this game, but with the recent spate of great games released on the Switch, your money is probably best spent elsewhere. I genuinely dislike writing negative reviews like this, especially when the gaming industry is having such trouble. But Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator feels like a hurried port of an already average game, aimed at some quick sales with not much thought. Much like the pile of daggers on my workshop floor just begging for customers to purchase them, Fantasy Blacksmith Shop Simulator has a distinct lack of polish, it's dull, and it's probably best left out of people's hands. I award it a 48 out of 100. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Because of amazing people like you, What's It Like is now my full-time job. I also do want to do a special shout out to my Patreons, S Hill, K Skip, and D Kite. I couldn't have done it without your support. Thank you.